What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for coming back to another live broadcast of Cobra TV. And we got a couple things I want to talk about tonight. Some of the mysteries behind No Man's Sky, or things that are in the coding that could be in the game, or they maybe are not in the game, or they're ready to just be activated whenever they want to patch it in. But I want you guys to come on the show here tonight and talk about anything that you want to talk about, even if it's not No Man's Sky related. If it's something else you want to talk about, because now that the game's released, we're able to, be a little bit more free with what we talk about. So, but this is a subcast. You guys want to come on, share your feelings about the game, maybe something really cool that you found that nobody has found yet. But I got a couple guests coming on. One of the guests that I have coming on is going to be talking about what you see on the screen here. There's a file about a fourth race in No Man's Sky, and this is from the game's code. This is directly from Hello Games code that they wrote for No Man's Sky. It's in the coding. It's a fourth race, and a little bit I'll show you that they even wanted to put grays in the game, like gray aliens, like the term grays. They wanted to be, they were going to put those in the game as well. There's actually files for those guys as NPCs. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. We're going to go ahead and add him to the call because it's really late where he's at.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for invite, man.
No problem, dude. So we were talking on Skype, and it's good to have you on. It really is. We were talking on Skype, and you I don't know if this is something that you discovered on your own or if you found it in a thread somewhere on Reddit or NeoGAF or what it is, but something about a fourth race. Did you find this on your own?
Yeah, I did. It was today, actually, and I did not expect to find that. It was basically random because I was just curious, and I wanted to see what, lies within. I wanted to see, the portal stuff and all that, all those things that were there, and we can also see it in the game. That's the thing. So I was like, I need to see something that is that I could just prove, and not just talk about, because it just mind blows me to know that there's so much stuff in the game that nobody knows about. It's people just go and they insult something for not being there when they don't even have the info first, right? So it was I tried to find it on Reddit or anywhere,
yeah, right,
but I did not have any luck with that. So I was like, this is weird, it's not anywhere, so not sure.
That is really interesting, and there's there is sort of a hint to a fourth race in the game, here and there, and I've always felt like there was one missing that had something maybe to do along the lines of the Atlas, but I don't know if. I'm going to try and switch around the screen here, and they're supposedly cat-like creatures.
Yeah, exactly. That was really weird for me. There is to sum it up when I found it, basically, so people can know what we're talking about. There is a folder that is specific for fourth race, and it literally says fourth race, and as Sean Marie said, there's a lot of space for surprises and Easter eggs, if you will.
Right.
And it doesn't even have to be anything to do with story, but I think it does. In this case, it would just make a lot of sense, as we do not know where the Atlas came from. There's only obviously, as we do speculate, then people do speculate as well, and it's all just theories and really nice mystery. And it just gives that depth to the whole premise of why is it even there in the first place. And when I found it, I was like, well, this doesn't sound really, like something that literally is part of it yet. Yet it just makes sense at the same time, because we do come in contact with these three races at the same time, but we still have these memories of things that, a third person that tells you something about yourself, where you come from, and what are you doing there in the first place as well. And this cat hole thing like was just like what, you know? And then I seen the folder and the file that says gray, you know, and
Oh, I know,
that's
yeah. When I
like
saw that, I got goosebumps. I'm like,
that was
please, man, please, that be in the game somewhere.
exactly, yeah.
But you know what's really interesting and odd at the same time is right before, within the new patch or something along the lines, I think it was maybe a tweet, he tweeted out saying that we've put some Easter eggs in there. But myself personally, I have not come across not one Easter egg. Have you?
No.
That's something that was so strong that you would be like, that's an Easter egg. I haven't. I have not. And if, I understand that some of the features that were supposed to be in the game and are not in the game anymore, I understand, that stuff being completely absent. Like, okay, it's definitely not in the game. Like the large dinosaurs that we saw at the in the VGX trailer in 2013. It doesn't look like the animals anywhere get that big unless unless I'm missing something. But okay, so we know that that's missing. But the thing is, recently during the release of the game, he said there's Easter eggs, so they've got to be in the game somewhere. Sometimes I feel like maybe a lot of people that comment on my channel saying that I'm going bonkers and I'm going crazy. Sometimes I start believing them. Like, all right, well, maybe I am. But then other things just completely don't make any sense, and these cannot be simple mistakes. Or these can't be mistakes from Hello Games. Like, how far can you jump in light years? It's like what, 1,500, 1,600 max, 1,700. Light years on your maxed out hyperdrive, as maxed out as we can possibly get it. But yet when you look at it and when it's maxed out, there's room for it to be maxed out even more. Now other people are trying to tell me, they're like, hey Cobra, I found a Canon Omega. I'm like, Omega? So we got Sigma, Tau, Theta, now Omega. So does that mean that there's a warp reactor Omega? I don't know. But when you get towards the center of the galaxy, and this is a spoiler for anyone who's ever seen or who has not seen the center of the galaxy or doesn't know, leave now because I'm going to talk about what we know about the center. When you get to the center, it says that the jump to the center is like anywhere between like 6,000, 7,000 light years away. But your current hyperdrive can only take you 1,700 light years. So how are you able to get there? And when people make that final warp, it backs them out and throws them into another galaxy. But if you can only jump 1,700, is that one of the reasons why is throwing you out and into another galaxy instead of letting you reap the rewards of actually entering the center of the galaxy? And all those question marks, where it should say discovered by or something or the other, it still says it's all question marks. But so that tells me no one's really been there, because if you watch everybody's trip to the center, no one goes in it. And according to their hyperdrive, they can't. It's too far away. So it's things like that that really blow my mind. And it's like, wait, we have to be missing something here, because these cannot be huge mathematical mistakes and huge like empty voids that they're leaving out. There's got to be a bigger picture. There just has to be, right? Or am I just still going bonkers?
I have to agree with you that, because it's a huge leap, and not only in the distance, but like with the journey itself. Like for me, recently I'm basically reaching like my own milestone of like 140 hours of this game.
Wow.
It's incredible. Like I don't remember a game that I played 140 hours in like 2 or 3 weeks, right? And I'm not a gamer. I have to say this. I'm not a gamer. Okay. I do music. I make it for a living, right? I do that, and I recently like have a lot of time right now because I need that rest, and mind needs rest and everything like that. So I just I heard like No Man's Sky was coming. I was like so excited for this, because I remembered when I seen that first trailer, and I was like, oh, the childhood is coming. Childhood is coming. It's like.
Oh yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
this is gonna blow my mind, and it did. And now that all these things are coming out slowly and surely, it's just getting really, it's motivating at the same time, because what may seem like impossible thing or like crazy thing for other people, like don't even try, there's nothing like that. It's still made by people who know what they're doing. They're all like majority of those people are programmers, especially Jean-Marie, right? So it's just like, yeah, we're gonna put this stuff here, like for people to just find, that kind
Right.
of stuff,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really mystery and
But
completely lost sense like
would
from
a
this.
developer be? What if a developer be that risky to release a game that has such a deep, hard puzzle element to it and not say anything and allow the beating from the fans, allow the beating from all of the critics and everyone writing reports and reviews? I mean, would a developer do that? I mean, you know how dangerous that would be to your name, to your company, to future endeavors, to, like even the developers that are working with them that might not plan on staying with Hello Games. They might want to go work for EA or Ubisoft or start their own company. And with that, they're going to bring the name of Hello Games with them. And it's going to be difficult for them people to get a job somewhere else. And, I mean, with the puzzles and the mystery behind No Man's Sky, with it being so impossible to figure out that it's almost a lack of, I keep asking myself every time I start thinking, okay, well, there's something more to this game, but would they do something so dangerous? What is your opinion on that?
I think it's really problematic, and people, usually look at it or frown upon it because they think like, oh, they don't care about it anymore. They just released it and they already have the money. It's like, but when I do something and I release it, it's sure you can like say, oh, do not even compare this because music and games have nothing to do. Well, they actually do a lot in sense of like production, right? But
Oh, yeah.
obviously you don't take like years to make it, but it takes a lot. And it's just like, now that all these things just go together, and then you have musicians and all that stuff in games. Today it's like so many people work on stuff, and just knowing that, I would definitely not jeopardize that, for one thing. And for second, it's how many years they actually worked on it, like 3 to 4, maybe 5, if we don't forget about the startings, like, oh, hey, we just did this game. Maybe we can just make a little bit more challenge.
Right.
And it just blew my mind when I heard about the first game they made, and nothing before, right? They made like the sequel to the Joe Danger.
Yeah.
And then they like went into this huge project, and I was like really skeptic, but I believed them, right? Because like I seen what we seen, basically, and assumed that it would be possible. And I expected a game that basically puts you in this universe, and you don't have anything like important to do like in other games where it's like, okay,
Yes.
here's a hand and do this, do that, do this mission, you get this coin.
Right.
It's just like live it, live your dreams, go anywhere you want. And it's basically that. But only problem they maybe did, and what people really judge, is like they added that gameplay and then maybe concentrated too much on that rather than making it really that, that fantasy simulator, which I would call it, right? Which
Right.
it is anyway. So for me, I really enjoy it and still will probably in months to come. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah.
definitely, I don't think they would like jeopardize it. And the only thing that concerns me is that Sean haven't said anything, and I would want him to say like something, but because I believe it's not, or it wasn't intentional from him to just say, oh, this is gonna be that and that. It's vision, it's like, I want it to be this, and we have the tools, but we need more time, and they just didn't have more time, so that's a problem.
No, what I mean is, I think there's a puzzle element to the game. I really do. I mean, there's too many things, like the warp to the center. It's just not. You don't have a big enough warp drive to get there.
Yeah.
So I think there is a puzzle element to the game, but for them to come out and just like release the game and not say, there's a really underlining puzzle that you have to figure out. Otherwise, you're going to be in a constant loop, which, it reminds me, that's exactly what Nada says all the time, is you're in a constant loop.
Right, yeah.
You know,
Right.
yeah, I just thought about that. But, you know, I mean, for them not to say that, for them not to give you a hint and say, you guys have to figure it out. You know, I mean, that's risky. That's dangerous for a company to release something so puzzling and not say that it's a super puzzle. I think that's risky. But, you know, one of the things that drew me into No Man's Sky, and I think this is where No Man's Sky falls off for a lot of people, is that the thing that drew me into No Man's Sky was the lack of structure. You know, the ability, the ambience of it, you know, to be able to, I from the get-go, from the very first time I seen it, I thought it was a walking, flying simulator. You know, and when we were told there was no NPCs, everybody was completely fine with that. You know, I mean, how empty would the game be without NPCs? It'd be a heck of a lot emptier. But every single person who was following No Man's Sky was, they accepted that fact. Hey, there's no NPCs in the game. You know, where are those people now? You know, complaining about the NPCs that are in the game. I don't know. I felt that this was going to be an ambient experience of flying around, seeing cool places, and making your own adventure, which that is exactly what the game does for people. And, you know, I tried to tell people that, you know, a few months before release, don't get your expectations up for like the landscape and planet environments, because there's only so much you can do, the human imagination can do with land and sky. You know, there's only so many color variations that you can throw on there. But what's important to know is when you look at it, you're seeing formations that you will never see anywhere else in the game. The way a mountain forms, or the way a cliff forms, or the way a cave forms on the side of a mountain. These are formations that are unique. They're unique to the game. And I that's a part that sometimes I'm on a planet, you know, and I look around, and one of the reasons why I don't upload too much gameplay is because I'm constantly going, wow, look at that. Oh my gosh, you know, I sound like a total idiot when I'm playing the game.
I can totally agree with that. Like, that's the same story with me, because this is a game, I have to admit, like, I don't really think that I ever took a picture of a game this beautiful for me, really. Like, it has this own unique style, and people are like, oh, this looks ugly, this looks like outdated. And it's like what is outdated on this game? Like, what do you see outdated? Is it the sky? Is it the, you know, like the colors? People think that it's too cartoony. That's the point. It's supposed to be, you know, this vision of fantasy space. It's not supposed to be Elite Dangerous, you know, where it's like really dark. They still make mods for that, for those people who want it, and that's fine. You know, if they want it, that's sure fine. But
Right.
it's already changing that unique structure that it has, and I totally agree with that, because I myself, so far, like through the journey from like beginning, I kept making pictures. Like,
Oh, I
every
know.
day it was like 20 more pictures. Like, I can't stop. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, recently, just like, there's so much to see, and when I look back, you know, and search for something different, this is the tricky part. It's like, yes, you can find something like similar or same, like when it's like those basic things, like the minerals obviously are the same because you need to know how they look. And, you know, I got a lot of questions about like, why is it not like different? You know, I was like, well, if it would that be different, you would not know like what it is unless you would go to it and, you know, discover it first, and then it will be just chore again for those people. So
Right.
that's one thing, but that's the most basic things. It's like the minerals that you basically know about. But then you have all those unique plants that can have different variations and all that, and not to mention the colors and sizes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that alone, you know, can also be similar, but when you take a picture of that or when you go back to it, it just looks always different for me. Like, I don't know, I don't see anything same unless I would just make exactly that, you know, like a picture of something that I seen, and again do it again and again, and then just post it right next to each other and say, okay, this looks like this and this and this. So sure, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much you can do, exactly as you said. So I don't know, there's really, like, you can make the grass huge, but it will still be a grass. So
Right, right. A lot of the gameplay functions that, you know, have been left out, you know, like the orbiting and the fact that certain materials would only be found on certain planets that are furthest away from the sun or things like that. If you stop and think about it, how many things that we're always crafting and they take certain things, if he would have kept that in there, there would have been way too much flying back and forth, and some of these planets are like 2 minutes away. Some of them at its furthest distance are 2 minutes at full impulse or full pulse drive, right? So if, say, you were constantly having to fly back and forth, people would have been complaining, man, they should have put all the resources, most of the resources on one planet. That way you wouldn't have to do all this travel time. So it was like a double-edged sword. You're going to get cut no matter what you do. With the orbiting, could you imagine trying to get to a planet that's on the other side of that star system star? How far away that would be at full impulse or full pulse drive? You would have to, say there was something you had to do where you had to keep going back and forth from one planet to the other one, and it was on the other side of the star. You would have to fly past the star, and then who knows how far it was away on the other side of that star. It would have broken the gameplay, the readiness that he had, the movie ready feeling that he wanted us to be able to have, the pick up and play now feeling. And I think that's the biggest reason why he took out the orbiting. I mean, it's smart to take that out, really.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the fact that it would move in the first place is actually not even practical, because if it would move like us, with a real speed,
yeah.
And we don't even know how we would actually measure that, right? In this case, but it would be some, speed, and the fact that it would move compared to you, maybe you would never even with a normal speed, you would never even reach it, because it would be the same speed as you. So that would be a little confusing, and I don't know. But even if it would be stationary and still would be like a circular, like normal solar systems work, or any point where it would be like above you or below you, doesn't matter, but it would still definitely be much more further. And I liked actually the fact that the first trailers showed the planets really close to each other. I was like, that's pretty cool, that's like that scientific thingy that doesn't make sense, but it can happen, but it's still fantasy, so it's in that measurement. But then they changed it to like further, but not as much. And also, it's still at least 2 minutes. The most furthest was like, for me, once it was like 3 minutes, and that was like 3 million. I was blown. Like,
wow,
it was pretty far. So, and this would definitely like not be practical. But again, like, people could go, well, it should have it, but then you would definitely see people like go against it as well. So I don't know. People just always find something to talk about. In a negative way or positive, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was always afraid that a lot of people that were really into this game was going to be disappointed when it first came out, because of the whole tell your own story thing. A lot of people, they're not used to that, and I think this game actually speaks words to Minecraft people, Minecraft gamers, and because you're given a place and you're asked to build. That's it.
Oh, yes.
What happens beyond that point is your story. It's your adventure. So I think a lot of Minecraft gamers and some other gamers from some other games too understand, what No Man's Sky was about. And I think they understood it from the very beginning. But I think the space, the fact that you can leave the planets and go out in space and land on another planet, I think that attracted everybody almost.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Definitely.
So I think that the other category of gamers who thought it looked good, it looked pretty, it looked fun, hey, you're shooting and stuff like that, I think that group of people was severely disappointed because they maybe came in too late, and they didn't listen to everything that Sean Murray said about about it being your own adventure. There's no story, there's only a lore, and I tell you what, that lore is fun to figure out. It is fun to go through and learn how evil the Gek are, and how the Viking want to kill the Gek. They asked me to help them finish a warhead to kill them.
It is very, very immersive. Like, it actually is. The thing about it is that the less information you get, but you still have something like in there, but it's just so strong. Like it makes you imagine those things. And that's what I love about games when they do this. It's not the fact that, oh, we have like 500 books of lore for this game. It's like World of Warcraft, amazing game, right? But there's so much lore. I cannot even read all that stuff, and I cannot even learn it. I
Right.
cannot even like remember all the names of like villains, all the good guys. But it's cool to get into it. But sometimes you need that free will of like, I wonder how it is actually, and figure
Yeah.
it out, you know. And this is where all these really cool features could come in, and they could even add it like in future. I don't mind. I think you or anyone who enjoys the game won't mind ever with this, because it's just really, it adds to that whole experience. And they can just go any day and be like, hey, we can expand on that Stargate thing we, searched for on YouTube, and everybody was like, I wonder if it actually works. And they all have the lore there still in the game, and all the, triggers and everything like that, but it's just not like implemented because maybe it caused problems.
Yeah.
Because I have definitely like respect and understanding for like, whoa, we have this much features, but it's like we have to cut this because this is making problems. And we can see like definitely in the trailers where they shown all the dinosaurs and all that stuff. It's all nice and jazz, but all
You know-
these files are there in the game as well. But they were for testing to what the engine can do even. So it's not like it was rendered in 3D Max or anything like that. It was in the game. It just wasn't, like played by him. It was recorded for that matter to show what it can do.
Yeah. And that's the thing, a lot of these things, they, like you said, they're in the game and they can be woken up at any time. That they could just be activated. Activate patch, order 66. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yes.
yeah. And that's another thing that are we ever going to know if they decide in the middle of the night to update it and not even say that, hey, this is bug fixes. And then all of a sudden we start somebody somewhere. They make the giant dinosaurs extremely rare because remember, only 10% of the planets was only supposed to have lush garden worlds with extreme life.
Oh yeah.
Remember that. Now, when people are landing on planets like, oh, this one's boring, oh, this one's boring, oh, this one's samey, oh, this one's samey, remember he said only 10% were going to be wonderful. So just keep that in mind. And that's a small number compared to 18 quintillion, even rounded off, And so if they decided to update it and add the dinosaurs back in, those giant dinosaurs, and it were part of that 10%, we would never know that they snuck it back in there. Or what? Who knows? It could be in there. Just remember that 10% number.
Exactly, yeah, the whole time. That's the thing. And like many things I thought that were not in the game are there. And like I usually stay away from Reddit and places like this, but for this matter, I was like, you know what, just let's check it out. And I kid you not, I came across pictures of people showing what seems to be the closest thing to the dinosaurs, and then somebody posted a video on YouTube that was even more accurate, and it was exactly, I'm not kidding, exactly the same model of the Diplo, whatever it was called, from the E3. The only difference was it was smaller and it had a different neck, it had a different spikes, but it was exactly the same head. I was like, what? Like, have you found this on a different planet or in a different system, in a different galaxy? It was probably the same one, right? But it was just mind-blowing. I was like, is it really in the game? Like, am I ever gonna find it? I never found it yet, but this made my expectations even more higher, like from just it mind-blowing me. So, like,
Yeah.
I think it was like 7 meters tall.
Oh,
And,
wow.
like, that's... It was
Have
actually
you
accurate.
seen the little Gek creatures that are the size of little tiny pebble rocks?
Oh yeah, very cute. Yeah.
I mean, they're really super tiny, man. I mean, they're like the size of like a little pebble, little tiny rock. And Sarah from One I Know, he's a YouTuber, And I've known him for quite a while. We talk every now and on Facebook, and he posted the video and he sent me the link. And when he said little people, I wasn't expecting to see something that little, but they're freaking tiny, dude. And, I haven't come across anything like that. And I'm a little upset because I want to, I haven't, have you come across a bipedal creature yet?
I think I'm not sure. I seen some creatures that had 6 legs, so it was quite crazy. I have to say that.
What about one walking upright on 2 legs? It looks like.
Oh, that. Yeah.
You have. What star class were you in when you found that? Do you remember?
The only one that was probably the Gek only one, I think. That looked like a Gek. That's probably the only one. And I don't really remember which one was it. I was actually searching through the green stars.
Yeah.
Which are I think they're E, right?
Yes, they are. Yep.
That was like the tip that we all got basically from like, oh, those can have bigger chance for lush, which so far worked, but sometimes it can be even the opposite. So, you never know.
Yeah.
It's quite really good because, this is what makes the game so unique in a way of like people don't expect to find like so many barren plants before they actually find that good one. They expect like, oh, we're gonna see all the good stuff right away. Well, that would be a little bit weird since it's not completely random, but it's still procedural. So you have a same chance of finding it right after you start as same as somebody who just finds it after 200 hours of playing. So it's really about luck.
Right, yeah, it is. I think it's cool. I mean, I don't know if I'm kind of an outdoorsman. So I go out and I fish quite a bit. And
nice.
It's one of the most boring things you could possibly do outdoors because you put the pole in the water. I fish for bottom feeders, catfish, carp, things like that. And so it's one of the most boring fish to fish for. You throw the pole in, let it sink to the bottom, set up your pole and sit down. And it reminds me of No Man's Sky because in No Man's Sky, I'm thinking to myself when I'm out fishing, I'm like, okay, 1 more hour and then I'll see if I get a fish. 1 more hour and then I'll see if I can get a fish, and it just keeps going. In No Man's Sky, I'm like, okay, 1 more planet. All right, 1 more planet. 1 more planet. No, I didn't find that one yet. I can't stop playing. 1 more planet. And then boom, I find that perfect planet. I'm like, this is so cool. It's like.
It's definitely, yeah.
It has a commonality in it, the same. I don't know. I guess I'm just a weird person, maybe. I don't know.
Well, like through my life so far, I came across many people that literally have no patience. And, it's like, hey, you're going to show him this game? And it's like, nice. And what do you do? And what do you do? And can I shoot something? And I know it's like a little bit more like super action pace, It's like,
yeah.
Well, you can still have games that you can chill in and yet have action, but it doesn't have to be the main fuel here. And I think many would agree with me when I say that like Journey is one game that literally reminds me this, and it's like so strong, even stronger than the Journey itself, like because that was obviously short and it was supposed to be, showing you the journey through all the sand dunes, like meeting the people there, that you did not even know there were people.
Yeah.
So if nobody would tell anyone, they would not even know it's person. It's like, oh, that's an NPC probably or something like that. So, but the whole point of the game is like that, that journey to where you want to go or where it leads you, and then figure out, oh, maybe there's something else to it. It's like figure on your own, and that's what it is. But even Journey is hated by some people, like straight up. I'm like so surprised by that. Like they're like, oh, this sucks, like straight up, like no context, nothing. I'm like, okay, well. There's no logic in that, but okay, your opinion. But if anyone can hate that game, then I'm not even surprised there's so much hate for No Man's Sky, because this is so specific for specific people. It's just amazing. And the fact that it, catched me as well, that's no comment.
I want to sympathize with a lot of people that don't like No Man's Sky or that are disappointed because we're all looking for that one game, the one game that It doesn't feel like we've been duped. We don't feel like we've been stolen, had our money stolen from us with AAA companies trying to say, well, here's 4 maps. Like always, in about a half a year, you'll have 12, but you got to pay us an extra $50. All right, but we're all looking for that game that can truly capture our imagination, and it's something that's really fun, a universe that you can explore in. And a lot of people, they're brought up with these simple games that are wrapped up in these simple boxes that, they have certain things you have to do to get to feel completion from. And when you get No Man's Sky, you get this what seems like a perfect game for everybody, and there isn't that simple package to get a reward from. It's and I understand why a lot of people are upset, but there is a lot of, I don't know what you would call it, like unhealthy people out there that are, I guess, from what I've seen in the comments section on some of my videos, they're affected by this way too harshly. Like it's affected them way too much, to where I've had people tell me that I need to go die and calling me derogatory terms, and I don't know, man. It is just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And maybe it's happened in other games. Maybe there was the same kind of hate for other games and stuff like that. I've not paid attention because this is the first game other than GTA 5 that I followed really, really closely. So maybe this is the norm. I don't know, but it's new to me for sure. I'm going to go ahead and add another caller to here real quick. If you need to jump off, I know it's late. You can, but if you want to hang on, that'd be great too.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be here for a bit. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to add Cozy to the game. Or to the call. Jeez.
I mean, pretty much, there was nobody else to talk about this whole thing that much in detail, so it's definitely appreciated. And it just needs to go out. It just needs to be let out, because this thing is just way too exaggerated.
Yeah, it is. Cozy, how you doing, buddy?
Yo, what's going on, guys? How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. It's going pretty good.
Hey,
I'm lucky to have you on.
Yeah, it's a privilege to be on the show,
What brings you on today?
It was actually just, Sean Murray and his future plans for the game, like, because he has got some very important decisions to make for No Man's Sky, as to not lose any more of the fan base. He needs to retain it and regrow again, if you kind of get what I mean.
I do, and I really feel like it's important for him to step out and talk. I mean, I respect him for taking a stance and not lashing out in anger or anything like that, because if it was me, I probably would have ruined my career by now. From some of the hate that's gone around on some of the people that treated him really well, and they played the game, mind you. IGN played the darn game. The IGN first, they knew what it was, and as soon as it got released, they got their hands on it and they trashed it. So that's just really strange to me. But yeah, I think that
Sorry.
I think that as we're fans, but at the end of the day, we're also customers. And I feel like a lot of people, I don't need it. I don't need for Sean to say this is what happened. I don't need it. I'm happy with the game that I have right now. But I feel like there's a lot of people that would benefit from Sean saying, guys, this is what happened, and this is our roadmap to getting everything back to where you thought this game was supposed to be.
I think that would be pretty smart. But which update would you want out? Like, would you prefer to have a multiplayer or some kind of building mechanism in?
I think
something.
Well, we already know that the
different.
building and the freighters, that's a given. It's going to come out. But what I think that would make this game a lot more fun is if you could have these journeys and adventures with your friend. And last month's PlayStation EU magazine, he actually stated that they wanted a No Man's Sky Online, so that way you could warp to your friend's location. So that's definitely on their list as well, but it's not official. It's not, it's not put in on their website as part of their roadmap. The only thing we have so far is building and freighters. But what about you?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also remember, very, very far back, how he talks about, traditional multiplayer. Do you think he's still scrapped that, or do you think he's probably thinking about that?
I think that, no, because he just talked about it last month in the PlayStation EU. He brought it up again and saying that a while after it releases, he wants to bring what he calls No Man's Sky Online, sort of like an equivalent to GTA Online.
I see.
Yeah, something like that, where he said you can warp to your friend's world or warp to your friend's location. And I think that maybe one of the reasons why we haven't been able to see another player face to face is because they decided to leave it out of there, because something that is so rare to set up the servers or rent servers just to have something that would hardly ever happen would be expensive, right? I think it would be expensive to have something hanging around that would hardly ever be used, and you're paying for it. So I think what they decided to do was say, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and go with this No Man's Sky Online, so let's not even worry about the multiplayer right now. I don't think anybody's going to run into each other anyway, so we got some time, guys. So hopefully in the futures, I think we will see something like that.
But another thing, at first I thought it was because of the PS4's hardware limitations, but then I realized, wait, with the PS4 Pro coming out, and with the game being really small, I just threw that idea out of the way. So I thought it was something to do with, either the service will be way too expensive, but what if they allow the creation of host servers?
What if they want?
Host serving, like where you create your own server.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
we're still talking about the same universe, but just creating your own little server, so that way you can invite your own friends, right?
Yeah, you can see your own friends.
That'd be kind of cool.
Without,
partitions or something like that, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that'll be pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing at the moment to combat against all of this backlash that they've gotten for their game. I don't know if the whole freighters and building, once they give the building to people are going to be like, okay, I built a base. Then they're going to think to themselves, all right, now what? No, and then then Hello Games is going to be back in this again. Oh, the update's shallow. The update's empty. I built a base right next to the water. I can't do anything with it except for blow it up.
This is so sad. Yeah, it's just...
it'll start all over again.
Always something to complain about.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. The point is, recently I thought about one thing that it just went so far, and it's taken so long for them to just get that hate off already, that it's just, I don't even think that even if it would deliver all of those features and everything would be promised, people would still not like it. I just have that feeling. I just felt from the first day when it was released, or even before, because people saw, the launch and those copies that were illegal, and played by people.
Yeah.
That they just had this little guy, indie developer, company, and they just started bullying it from the start. It's like, they cannot deliver what they promised. It's indie, everywhere I go, I hear, it's indie developers. Come on, wow. Have you forgot about the fact that actually Activision, all these guys like EA, Ubisoft, they started from somewhere. And these people have so many people now under them, right? But it started somewhere. And you don't even know where it's going to go from here. So how can they just be this judgmental, to something that is just starting? This is their main title now. And it's so big, It's you cannot just ignore that. And it did bring a lot of stuff to the table. And many people say, oh, it didn't. But it did. So I don't think that's just legit.
I can't wait to see... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I guess it kind of goes back, I agree with what you're saying, but I think it could be due to the hype, like people were overhyping it, how Sean
yeah.
Murray was being vague, so you were just left with your imagination.
But I
Yeah, I
agree
think
with that
Kovac-
to a point.
Yeah.
But also the things that people are really mad about, their complaints, are things that Sean Murray said and is not evident at the time right now in the game. That's what people are mad about. I mean, I don't think
Oh, yeah.
overhyping. There's everyone wants to say it was overhyped. Every one of my days, I would go out and I would, just at the store, whatever, and I would see someone that I knew for a fact had to be a gamer because of a shirt they're wearing or whatever. And I would ask them, like, you're a gamer, right? And yeah. And we strike up a conversation. Then I would ask them, hey, have you ever heard of No Man's Sky? It was always no. Overhyping means everybody knows about it. It's everywhere. Whether you like it or not, you've heard about it. You've seen it. It's on every ad before you watch one of your favorite YouTubers. It's talked about all over the place, and you constantly keep running into it. That's overhyping something. These guys came out like every 6 months and spoke. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I guess you will see people who are overhyping it themselves, not exactly Hello Games. If you kind of get, because the idea of No Man's Sky was so unique in itself. People were just blown away when they were reading about it.
I think people never really understood what it meant to make your own story, make your own adventure. Really, I don't think people understood what that was going to feel like.
I mean, you could literally think that they thought, I definitely think that they thought like, oh, it's gonna be like, you can create your story within the game, it's like, it's gonna give you those tools. Nah, this is like literally the old style gaming. It's like, you are turned into a spaceman. Literally, like old days, like where you just like had nothing more than just your toy spacecraft, and you were just like, you're just like playing like a kid, right?
Right.
And like when he started, and when I seen the first video with him, interviewing or being interviewed actually, and he was talking about like, I had this dream, one day when I was a little kid, and I just wanted to like fly to the space and just see all the stars, and I was like, wow, I want that.
Yeah.
And just like it blew my mind, because I had the same stuff like in my childhood. I was like, look at the stars, like look at all that vast nothingness, but it's full of things that you do not even comprehend, like you cannot even explore all that. And here you have a game that you can do that, and now you're asking your question. When you get power like this, I wonder, when you would actually get this power in real life, would people actually be the same and become such a hostile people for like others, like be like, oh, I already seen that too, that's too old, I already seen this one, it's like, whoa, damn.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, man. I agree. I don't know. A long time ago when people said, well, people would ask me, well, what do you do in No Man's Sky? When I would bring it up to someone who didn't know. God, it seemed like the most popular question. You told them it's infinite. There's 18 quintillion planets. They're all real life size. There's no loading screens. Blah, 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 blah. It's great. It's wonderful. Like, all right, well, what do you do? Well, I always responded by, if I gave you a spaceship and said, this thing works, now you can leave, are you going to ask me, what can I do? No, man. You're going to get in that spaceship and you're going to take off. And you're going to go flying. And that's exactly what you do in No Man's Sky. And that's what's fun about it to me.
That question always gave me goosebumps, because I knew that these people don't know it. It's like, oh, what do you do? But what do you do in No Man's Sky? Just even after the release, okay? Like, but this is boring. Like, after 1 hour, are you serious? Like, you haven't even played it yet.
Right.
Like, if people can say, like, oh, you can see all the content from the game after 1 hour. Well, that's not obviously true. Like,
No.
you've never been there.
You
So-
can't even get out of the F-class
Exactly.
systems in an hour, It's like, wait a minute, you haven't been to the other ones yet. I went to, I can't remember what class it was. I wasn't paying attention at the time. I just knew it was not an F-class. and I landed on this planet, and it was a wintry planet. And I've been on cold planets in the F-class systems, but it's never like really snowed. And I landed on this planet, and it was snowing, man. It was like a blizzard, and these trees were blowing all over the place. There was big trees. The trees are kind of big, and there were different variations of the trees, different kinds, different breeds, or whatever you want to call it. And there were these aliens just floating in space. They look like little octopus. And I don't know. That planet that I was on was completely different. It looked like it was a No Man's Sky Point 2. You know, like, wow, this game has gotten better. But it was only because I gotten out of the F class and went to this other class. And it was just, I don't know, man. That's what people, you know, they review the game for, like you said, an hour. And you think you can make a review on that? You got to play it longer than that to get out of the F classes.
That's very true. Guys, what do you think of... I've got an idea. Do you think they should ever implement gas planets, but like have floating buildings in it, like airship styles?
I think gas giants should have always been in the game because you could have made them extremely rare, and like if you found one, you could possibly like hang out in the atmosphere or maybe fly through it and gather the gas as a resource. I always thought that would have been cool. You know, it's not a planet to land on, but it's definitely a holy crap. You see that as soon as you warp into a star system, and you know you're rich. You're gonna get that new ship that you wanted.
I mean, at this point, you can literally go and be like, well, hey, we got this canvas, which is already working, and like anything can be possible in this universe because there's, you know, things that doesn't even have to make sense. You can just literally make this like huge cloud, you know, planet, and then just make it hollow in the middle and just like put something really cool, you know, and just like so free to do so because nobody's gonna go and be like, well, that's obviously not accurate because this is a space of No Man's Sky. This is not our universe, right? So so much potential I just see in this game. I don't know, like I would want people to support it because I know how hard it is to start with something. Like every career that you do in your life is just so hard at the beginning, but when you see that support and when you see like people like what you do, and then you know you do it right and you just love doing it and you keep doing it, then you come across more of those people that come and be like, well, forget it, you know, this is bad, and more of those people actually come, but those who love it, you know, overcome that and they just like, oh, you know, like forget about that.
Exactly.
Just don't listen. So
yeah,
there's always going to be people.
This is something I brought up in a couple videos ago, and Swings 9100 brings up the same thing. And I was talking about the same video. He said, I just watched a No Man's Sky gameplay trailer from 1 year ago, and Sean Murray was walking around saying, this is your average 30 minutes of gameplay in No Man's Sky, and all he was doing was walking around. You know, I saw that. He looked at, I can't remember who he is, and maybe it was Ryan from IGN. And I think he looked right at Ryan and said, this is the game. You know, I mean, and that wasn't a shock to me at that time because it's exactly what I thought we were getting. But good point from Swings 9100 there.
You know, Cobra, you know the pictures that you received of the ringed planets. Just to confirm, are they real?
Okay, here's what I think about the ring planets. It's not a mod. But I don't even know if it's a glitch or not, but a lot of people are coming across these planets that have what looks like a ring around the planet, but it looks like a double atmosphere maybe, or I don't know if it's Hello Games' attempt to make a ring around the planet, but whenever you're on them, if you look up, you can see a ring around, you know, just like you would if you're on Saturn. I really think that's Hello Games' attempt at putting a ring around a planet. I don't know.
No.
Type in double ring somewhere, double ringed planet or double atmosphere planet. I mean, I'm sure you can find pictures maybe on Reddit or something like that. But no, it was a real picture.
Because they do look pretty cool. However, I've got a feeling maybe they just decided to remove it at the last moment. However, it's not fully removed from the game. And they're planning on maybe reintroducing it in the future.
That might be true. That might be true. Like, yeah, they didn't clean it up all the way. Maybe. Maybe that's why. And no matter what direction you're looking at the double ringed planet, so like if you ever see a double atmosphere planet, no matter what direction, it's like around the planet instead of like sideways. You know what I mean? It's outlined around your view from that angle.
Oh yeah, that's what made me a little bit confused there.
Right, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is like, you can see it when you go to the files, and it's like stuff like this. When I do that, you know, for a game that I really love, it doesn't spoil anything. You know, there's nothing that will tell you like, oh, this is in the game. Well, might do, but you know, you might not find that, you know, right away. That's the thing, and you don't know the context of it, and that's what is mysterious about it. Just like we started about the fourth race, so it's there, and we already know it anyways. Like the Atlas doesn't have more information than we already know, you know, but it might tell us more because like recently I seen many people like reaching many people, probably like one guy, I guess, but many are probably trying learn the languages of the Atlas, which is probably the hardest language you can learn.
Oh yeah.
And the problem here is that nobody will ever come back to the Atlas station unless they reset the whole game. And then I don't know if it actually resets all your like languages, because that would be really hard. But if that would be the case, we would need to discover the Atlas language first, then go to Atlas and read all what it says, because I never like seen any word that would show there except beyond. Like it said beyond, because that was the only word that I knew. And I want to know like what it says, because it might lead to something, you know.
So are you saying one person did learn all the Atlas language before they did the Atlas path? Or are you saying nobody did?
They like never did. They like do learn it after they do the Atlas. That's the thing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. When I did the whole Atlas path, you know, I was trying to get to the end of it. Because I'm trying to collect the lore that you can read over there in our language, you know. And at the same time, I'm thinking, am I really collecting the lore? I mean, what is it saying over here? You know, and gosh, could you imagine how long of a game it would be for you to learn the Atlas language before you decided to do the Atlas path?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
And not to mention that you don't even know that you need it in the first place. And it's like, oh my god, what do I do now?
Yeah.
But I have no idea if it actually... Like, if you can actually do it again in the different galaxy, it would make kind of sense, but at the same time, it's like, well, you know, you already did the Atlas path, and that's like the key chain, you know? And it's like, we want you to make it before, you know, like with the languages, and then do it, you know? It's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then maybe you get more answers, because, like, that would only make sense, of course, because basically... First off, I thought that the Atlas was speaking to you through the third person as you are speaking, but that's you speaking to yourself, basically, you know, as a narration. And the left one obviously tells what, you know, like that's actually the entity that is, you know, like talking to you. And that's why I was like, okay, I know a single word. That's all I know, you know. So
we got multi-grain. We got multigrain pasta in the chat here saying he's learning all of the Atlas words before he starts his first Atlas station, and he says he's already at 817 words.
Holy crap!
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Man, when you get complete, make sure you message me so we can have you on the show here and talk about.
Yo, you know the Atlas stations. You know in some of them how you see like humanoid figures. I actually thought the character model, like your own player model, was just one of them.
I don't think so.
Those are actually all three races.
It's Korvax, Gek, and Viking.
The thing is, like, you know, you could go into assumption that is basically the how to say the word, you know, unison, I think, like unification of like the whole, you know, matrix that is going on. You know, it's like a really cluster of that whole thing. And now with the fourth, you know, race that is in questions, in like quote unquote, you know, like mystery, because it is. It's like we got this Atlas, we got, you know, the Gek, Viking, and Korvax, and all of them, all of those three make this, this what is it called? Simulation. Yeah, the simulation of the whole universe, and it just makes sense in the story because they left their own legacy in the monoliths. But then you're like, how many people will actually figure that the monoliths are not made from them? Like they're gonna be like, oh, they made it because it's Gek. And why is it the same then? Why is it the same model? Or why is it the same structures, same technology? And it's like, well, because it doesn't belong there, It was created by ancients, right?
Right.
And this is where it brings me to the like references to certain movies and stuff like that, because that's the point of the game as well. It's like referencing even a Stargate, like literally, where it's like, oh, you have these Stargates all over the universe. What do you do with them? Like how to open them, and they figure it out, and it's like made by ancients, and you never even see the ancients through the whole like series. I don't remember at least, right? And this can be the same thing, but with the difference that we can actually see them in the like quote unquote end like of the journey, which may never end anyways. They might send you wherever, but it's really amazing to think about it. And it's not about like having hopes or anything like that. It's just plain logic. Like, if you have it there once, like why would you even leave it there? It's like, what does it take for you to just remove it if you don't want people to know? It's like,
Right, yeah.
oh, we're never gonna use this, it's gone. So
Yeah,
they
and,
know,
you know,
they know that exactly. They know that the people will be like, curious. I mean, it just happened. So
and you found it in the game code. I mean, you found things that are in the game. I don't know how you did it, genius, but you found.
To be honest, I think that's another form of exploration. You could think.
Yeah, yeah,
going
sure
through
is.
The game files.
oh, definitely. Yeah. It was random.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff, like even the, as I said before, the test folders and everything like that, it literally is saying it, it's for tests, this is what we have here. It's the E3 test 2015. That was even the year and stuff like that, It's like, of course it's for the test, they need to test what it can do, and stuff like that. And we're not gonna necessarily remove it just so people cannot know. They know that they needed to test it. And there's like, the only like thing that was like triggered, there's like, I think 8 triggers or something. I didn't count it, but there's really few of them that literally are in the trailer of like E3 2015, and I think the other one as well, where the dinosaurs are. And there's only 8 triggers. That is the flyby of the ships.
Oh yeah,
That is the dinosaurs. That is the big rhino thingy, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's like, what?
I made a video
That's it.
like 2 years ago. You remember that old whiteboard that they had, and it was like things to do, and then at the top it had the F keys. I made a video like 2 years ago and telling people what that was, and I said it was them setting up the trailers, then setting up, what was queued up at that time. That's what the F keys were for. Cue the flyby of the the wingmen. Cue the beast coming out. It was
Exactly.
That's what that was for. It was never, and Sean Murray always said, when we show the game, we have things turned up, we have things turned down. He wasn't trying to trick anybody. I mean, the reason why he landed on the E3 trailer, landed on that planet, and there was 2 walkers already walk around, but they don't walk around for us, is because he wanted to show them off. And what is he going to do? Sit there for 15 minutes trying to get a 5 Atlas wanted level? Just so that he could show it? Come on. So it was set up to show the walkers. That's all it was for.
This is what I don't get about people getting so upset about, like, oh, we've been lied. We've been like, this never happens. It's like, well, hang on. If you have like procedural made, even in one planet, if you make a whole planet procedural and you make like ships fly by, like it happens a lot of times when you have like really cool vistas and these ships just fly by you, and it's like, what? It's like, I take a picture,
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah,
amazing. But how can you just make it and do it in rehearsal if you just need to wait exactly how he said? Like, that's just never gonna happen. And these dinosaurs would never be there because it would need to be procedurally made, and he would never be there in first place. And it would be like, oh, there's no dinosaurs here, by the way, guys. You know, like, I have nothing to show you because
Right.
it's barren. It's
You
like,
know, and as time went by and they showed the game more and more, things were changing. We could see
Yeah.
it was changing, and every time we reviewed a new trailer or we reviewed a new demo of the game, we always said here on the show, every time we see this game, it looks different. You know, and we've always said that.
that.
Yes. And
Like the ship interior.
yeah. And, you know, at one point in time, the large animals kind of disappeared from the gameplays. You know, the big dinosaurs, they went away. Why? I don't know. Maybe they didn't pop in right when you were flying by. Maybe it just didn't jive right with the procedural generation in your flight. Maybe, who knows? But the game always changed. And the New York article, Sean Murray actually says to, I can't remember the interviewer's name, the reporter's name right now, but he said, we have a video playing or a picture or something like that in the main lobby of our studio to kind of remind us what No Man's Sky used to look like. I mean, they knew it was changing. We knew it was changing if we would have freaking paid attention.
pretty much. I mean, there's so much stuff that can just make it, you know, hard, and it's like the more you add in this whole universe is just like, it's, you know, at the same time it's simple, but then one thing, it's, as he said, you know, it's butterfly effect. It's like it can just crumble completely. It's like, oh, let's add one icon in this game, and it's gonna go boom. Well, this ship is missing because it has that icon.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what is going on? Like, or maybe
Yeah.
you have like a system that is like essentially only for like those flybys and stuff like that, and it's like, let's make them actually go to the planet and just do the same thing as in the trailers. But hey, guys, it's actually triggering another thing that is not supposed to be in the game, and it's like, wow, cluster, you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it causes a lot of things. And like the point that was like before that you said here before about the like the structures like being, you know, levitating, all that stuff, that is like, you know, when you think about it, it's the simplest thing ever you can do, because it can be even a prop and people will go, wow, because it's there, right?
Right.
But to make it every time different, now that's a different thing, you know.
Yeah,
And
you're
to
right.
work with everything, you know, it's like,
Well, you know, it is a beautiful game, and I enjoy the crap out of it. I you know, sitting here talking about it on the show, I was working on a video. I'm doing a parody video where Cobra runs into a monolith I mean, not a monolith, but a portal that can talk. And, you know, but now after talking about No Man's Sky so much, I can't wait to go play it.
oh yeah.
Yo, Cobra, it's been very nice talking to you guys, but I've got to go now. And the last thing I've got to say is that good luck on your channel, bro. Just good luck on it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the
I'm
support.
also- yeah. And, you know, just like me, I mean, I've got my own channel. It's Cozy High Gaming.
Cozy
Just in
High
case
Gaming.
anyone wanted to know.
Well, I
Yeah.
definitely want to know, and I'm gonna check it out. Cozy High Gaming,
All
just
right.
like your name there. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Have a nice day, guys.
You too,
Or
buddy.
night.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you
Take
on.
care, take care.
Yeah. It's currently 2:30 a.m. That's why I sound a bit dead.
Wow. All right, buddy. Take care, man. Be
Hope you
safe.
enjoyed it. See you guys.
All right, bye. All right, so we're probably gonna go ahead and end the show here. I think we've been over an hour now. It's gonna be one heck of a video to render.
Oh, definitely.
Do you have a channel for your music?
Oh yeah.
Oh
I can,
man, you've got to
send
let
you
me know.
I can send you the link if I can do that here.
Okay.
Because that'll be so confusing to just spell it out. Hang on. Ah, there we go. Please don't play. There you go.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the chat so everybody can take a look at it. I definitely want to take a look at it.
Oh, okay. Appreciate it.
Let's see. All right, there is our guest YouTube channel. He's a musician. I'm not sure what's there. I haven't been there yet. So if there's like some weird, feminist bashing. It's not my fault. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I did that once. I shared somebody's video, and there was like this bunch of videos bashing feminists and other minority groups and stuff like that, which I'm not going to take sides on anything, but I don't want it to look like I'm attacking a group. But that was kind of funny that when I tweeted that guy's YouTube channel out, kind of got me in trouble for a minute. But everybody check him out. I'm going to do that here. Got Drifting Pirate. He said he's going to go check it out. All right, buddy. It's been awesome having you on the show. And I thank you so much for bringing this fourth race to light, this new cat race, and the possibility of this gray alien being somewhere in the game or at some point in time being woken up in the code so that way we can see it. I think that'd be amazing. That's the Easter egg right there.
Oh, absolutely. And appreciate it as well. Like, it's definitely, it's just, it needs, like, its space and time. It's like, it's not, as we keep saying, it's not for everybody, but
yeah,
it could be, that's the thing. It just needs the right people for that. And, like, understanding where it's coming from, what's the premise, and all that.
Exactly. I agree. All right, man. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, too. Take care.
Right. You too, buddy. Have a good night. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out to the show. Thank you, everyone who stayed. I know we streamed for quite a while and talked about a bunch of different subjects, about some hidden files within the game, cat-like race, and gray aliens, and fourth race. It's been a pretty interesting talk, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. And as always, I do love you guys. Thank you so much for coming back. And thank you for supporting the channel. And I will see everyone in the next video. Until next time.